Welcome to Awesome Scuba Adventures. My name is Gary Leach. In this episode, I'm going to walk through what I do to prepare for a local dive at one of our area lakes. And that's before I leave the house. So I want to make sure I have everything so that when we get out to the lake, I'm not missing anything. We use the buddy check system before we go diving each time we dive. I use that here to help prepare for that effort. So my buddy check system is ABC's buddy check system. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. A includes attitude. How do you feel? Bad day at work, equals in, out, 5-10 minutes or whatever it takes to get you in the right frame of mind. Okay? It could be that you started feeling ill, a little bit of a cold, sinus infection, things like that. All that, just roll that all under attitude. Are you ready to go as a scuba diver? Then A for air, which is your tank and your reg. So I'll have my gas, my breathing gas, and I want to have that with me, obviously. And I've got my primary reg and my alternate reg. So I've got those with me. So that's A. A, B, we get to B, my BC. Okay, so I have my BC here. Okay, we'll go through all these in detail in just a minute. So C is console, computer, camera, things of that sort. So I have my console, which is the other side of the reg system, and I have my pressure gauge and depth gauge. And then I have my computer. So I want to make sure that that's turned on, functioning, and available and working. So it's ABC. D is the weights. I'm going to use 2 hard weights and 2 soft weights in this video. So that's ABCD. E is your eyes, it's your mask, and in this case a slap strap that I have. F is your fins, and I have both of them here. G is all the gadgets. They're on my BC. We'll get to that when we get to the gadget side. And then go dive and have fun. Have fun. You need to be comfortable, confident, and safe about what we're doing. So we teach comfort, confidence, and safety in our open water classes and all the other classes that we teach. So let's go ahead and begin. A, attitude, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Okay, so air, I'm gonna pull this out, check the O-ring. So pull that off. My O-ring's good. That's quick and simple. So B is BC. My BC is a vacuum plate. Okay, it has aluminum back plate and 2 tank straps. So I need to, of course, make sure all that's in place and available. And then I'm going to slide my BC on my tank. And I want to make sure that my back plate is situated correctly so that the air from the tank valve would come straight out this way. Okay, so this is where I want mine set. Everybody has their own preference. And I want to go ahead and secure that strap. Come down here and do the same and secure that strap. Now I want to make sure these buckles are tight. That's real tight and that's real tight. We're going to make sure that the tank does not slide anywhere. Okay, so now we go to the next step. That's A and B. C is your console. And it is on your reg system setup. I want to make sure that all of these strain reliefs are all the way up against the first stage to protect the hoses coming off so that they won't kink and break over time. Okay, so the legs obviously go on the right, everything else to the left. I'm going to go ahead and unscrew the cover, or unscrew the screw to get the cover off. There's a little tip in here, just barely show that. Go ahead and remove that cover. It's got a flat metal ring, and that's all clear. You want to make sure that's clear, and it's going to seat up to the O-ring on the tank valve. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And nice and easy, finger tight. We don't want to crank it down because we could damage the O-ring and have to replace the O-ring. Finger tight. Okay, and we have it to where there'll be a little bit of jiggle there. Take the power inflator hose. I have a little holder here to keep it from dangling around on me while I'm diving. This is a typical pneumatic connector, and female and the male is a nipple. You want to make sure that those connect. They clicked. I don't know if you heard that, but you check it and make sure it's tight. Okay. And pop over here. Pull out the primary reg. I usually shake, blow, and then try and suck on it. And I cannot breathe off of it, which is a good thing. If I could breathe off either of these second stage regs at this point, that means I would be breathing water when I'm scuba diving or wet breathing. So they're both good. And it's situated over here so I can get my console over here where I can access it. So with my reg system connected now, I want to check and make sure that I have enough air for the trip. Right now it's reading 0. I want to turn it on. I do not want to slam it on because we do not want to damage the first stage regulator attached to the tank valve. So just nice and easy, and there it goes. And I am showing 2900 psi. And open this all the way up, just finger tight. And I am ready to go. I want to be able to check both of these regs, primary. That's good. And the alternate. Very good. Okay, so at this point, I want to go ahead and turn my air back off because I'm going to be traveling to the lake. I will go through this again later at the lake with my buddy. We'll go through the buddy check. In my case, the A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H system. You're going to go first. Okay. A, B, C. The other C is computer. Make sure it turns on. And there it goes. Okay, so we're good there. Alrighty. A, B, C, D. No weights. I'm going to use 2 hard weights in the BC pockets. Now this BC is referred to buoyancy compensator, or you may hear it as BCD. Pull back the Velcro, slide a weight in, Velcro it down in place, and place the weight pocket back in the weight pouch holder. And then lock that in place in my system. Some have different ways to do that, so you might have a slightly different way. But you want to make sure those are secure. So now I have the other weight pouch. Hard weight going in there. I have a 2 in each of these today. and one's on the tank. So I'm going to slide that back in the pouch. And it's locked in place. Okay, so that's ready to go. Okay, so the other weights on ABCD is the weight pouch on the tank strap. They're called trim weights, and it's a little pouch. Mine is a pouch on the tank strap. Put one of these in here on this side, and you lock it in place. There it goes. And one on this side. Make sure it's in there. And you lock that in place. And it's ready to go. Okay, so we've gone through the weights, A, B, C, D. E is the mask, the eyes. For me, my mask, I want to make sure that my readers are in place. That happens over time. I want to make sure my strap is secure. I use one with a Velcro. It's a slap strap. Get it from the dive shop. And they have a little pouch that you can slide over your silicone strap if you like. And others might just like to use the silicone strap. You would want to make sure that the snorkel will be on the left, because we do not want to confuse it with the regulators coming around from the right. I'm not going to put drops in yet because it's defog, but when I get to the lake, I'm going to put one or two, generally just one, swirl it around on each side, and then rinse it before I get in the water. But I want to make sure I have that with me. Okay, so I've got eyes taken care of. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. F is fins. I have my fins. I went ahead and got a pair of spring straps and put on my fins. I'll make sure they're in place and operational. Same with that one. And they are good to go. So I now have my fins ready to go. So we are at A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so G is for all the gadgets. I have a few different things on my BC, my buoyancy compensator, or BCD, buoyancy control device. So one of those is my compass. I want to make sure that the compass is functioning properly, not stuck somewhere. I have a retractor that I'm not going to use today, so I might take that off, but might leave it on. I can put a light on there, hook up a camera, lanyard, things like that. Down here I have a slate, a dive slate. On the back side I've got a pencil, and if the communications fail between, say, me and my students or me and my dive buddies, I can always write on the slate. So I have a rag keeper for while I'm diving, and that's one of these guys. So I will take the alternate and place in here, and it holds that alternate regulator while I'm diving so it does not become a dangly and catch on something that I don't want it to. Okay, so over on this side, I have a surface marker buoy connected with a double ender. My double ender, I want to make sure that that's operational. This particular SMB style, this design has a spool integrated to the system, so that's really cool. So I'll have that here. I'll make sure that that's looks to be in operable condition. Make sure that that's back secure and locked. I also have a noise maker for when I'm underwater. Now I don't want it to just make noise all the time, so I bought one of these with a magnetic tip. And now I can make all the noise I want, which should be limited. But I put that back on and it holds that little ball inside and keeps it from making noise. Then I have a surface whistle. In case there's an emergency on the surface, I can make it go much louder, but that's a tool for the surface. And I have another retractor over here in case I want to use something over here as well. Down here, I have a dive tool, okay? And it's secure. I want to make sure I can get it out without any problem, which I can. You notice that these have a little hook here normally, and that is so that you can slice up fishing line or something similar, which shouldn't be in the location if it's a dive park, which is what we have too at one of the area lakes. And any place I like to go diving, most of those are marine protected areas or dive parks. So, okay, so we've gone through G for the gadgets. Now it's time for the other G, is go dive. And then follow it up with H, have fun. And to have fun, we want to make sure we're comfortable, confident, and safe about what we're doing. So hit your local dive shops and make sure you get your proper training, and find your dive buddies. Hopefully you're part of a dive club, and get out there and have fun diving and be safe about what you do diving. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. My name is Gary Leach, and we'll see you next time on Awesome Scuba Adventures. Have a great day.